Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. I'm Allison Williams, the Director of Analytics here at MarkeTeam. Today we'll be covering part 7 of our 10-part Google Analytics series. We'll be covering UTM Tracking today. UTM Tracking allows us to see which campaigns are driving traffic to our website and ultimately conversions. First, I'm going to go over a little bit of background about UTM. UTM stands for Urchin Tracking Module or Monitor, which varies a little bit by source. The name comes from the company that developed it, Urchin Software, which is a web analytics software company that was acquired by Google in 2015. And their software is really the base of Google Analytics as we know it today. Essentially, UTM links allow us to pass 5 different parameters into Google Analytics. Those parameters are the source, medium, campaign, term, and content. We'll go over some examples in a little bit, but first I'd like to go into why UTM tracking is so important. Taking a step back, I first want to go into some background on Google Ads. Google Ads used to be Google AdWords, but it was renamed in 2018. And these two products are completely separate. So Google Ads is not inside Google Analytics. You would log into both platforms separately. And in order to access your Google Ads information within Google Analytics, you're going to have to link those two accounts. In addition to having separate accounts and separate platforms, they're also going to have different visibility. Google Ads is going to give you visibility before the click. It's going to show you things like audience, reach, and impressions. And Google Analytics is going to have visibility after the click, which is going to show you website traffic, conversions, and behavior after your visitors reach your website. Linking your two accounts will get some Google Ads information into Google Analytics, but I think that you'll be surprised at how much doesn't come over. In order to ensure all of the visibility within Google Analytics for your Google Ads, you really need to set up the UTM tracking links. And UTM links aren't just for Google Ads. You can use this with any digital medium and track traffic through all of your different efforts. In order to build these links, you're going to want to use the URL builder. And there's a version that's available online that you can use and build one by one. But the more campaigns and the more complex your tracking becomes, you're going to want to create these in bulk. In order to do this, Google Analytics provides you with a bulk creation template. I've got a screenshot here of an example of one particular campaign that has 5 different elements to it. The first 3 are Google paid search ads. The second 2 are links in 2 different email campaigns, but they're all under the same overall campaign for year end. We can imagine that all of the links end up at the same location on your website, but in order to see the real visibility of each of these elements and how they're contributing to the website traffic, it's really going to be necessary to have these different UTM links. There's some visibility to this inside Google Analytics, but it's not quite as accurate as if you have these links set up. So that's really the importance of the links, is to be able to really track that traffic down to each element. You can access the bulk creation template online. You download it and then put in all of your campaign information and then upload that information back into Google Analytics so that you don't have to create them one by one. One thing I want to point out is in the right-hand column, you'll see that there's a column called tinyURL or bit.ly. This is not going to be in the bulk creation template that you can get online. I've added it here for explanation, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how URL shorteners work on the next slide, but just wanted to point that out before we move on so that you don't expect that in the version that you're going to download from the internet. So to start off with, just have to be clear that this step is not a necessary one. It's optional, but people like to use it because the URLs that are created with all of the different parameters create long URLs. And to make them easier to print or type and remember, creating a shortened version of them just makes it a little bit easier. So we recommend this step because it can be useful, but it does require an additional step of setup. You have to translate each of the long URLs into the short URLs using one of the URL shorteners. You can go to tinyURL or bit.ly and put in your long URL, and it will give you a shortened URL that contains all of the same information. And then that shortened URL can then be used in your email or your Google ad campaign. And that's what the user will see and they will click on. And once they do, then that shortened URL is then translated back into the long URL and provides Google Analytics with all of the information it needs in order to provide you that visibility inside it. So again, it's not a necessary step, but it is useful. So we wanted to walk you through exactly how that works in case you wanted to use it as an option. The last thing that we're going to cover today is going to be what it looks like when you log into Google Analytics. So under the acquisition reports, you can click on the campaign and you'll see all of the different campaigns that you're tracking through your UTM links. And this screenshot shows you 3 different examples and several different metrics such as users, bounce rate, and conversions that you can track through Google Analytics. If you click on one of the campaigns, you'll actually drill down into it and be able to see more information about the elements of that particular campaign. Using the example from before, we would have one campaign that was the year-end campaign. If we clicked on that campaign, then we would be able to see the 3 different Google keywords that were set up and the 2 different email links that were set up all within that campaign, and I'll be able to track them individually. If you have any questions about any of the information that we've covered today on UTM tracking, you can email us at website@mkt.com. That's it for today. I'm Allison.
I'm Olivia.
And we'll see you next time when we discuss goals and events, part 8 of our 10-part series.